Yes Have Some podcast is excited to tell our listeners about Dr. Pepper and the brand new collectible cans from Spider-Man Far From Home. Collectors, it's time to make that decision. Are you going to drink these Dr. Peppers or are you going to leave them mint in package? Either way, you got to collect all 5 cans available now, including the new limited time flavor Dr. Pepper Dark Berry, featuring Mysterio. Get your hands on all 5 of the new Spider-Man Far From Home cans from Dr. Pepper, available at Walmart.
Jurassic Park, now playing at theater.
Ecto goggles with Ecto Bomber, Neutrona Blaster, and Water Zapper, each sold separately.
From the corner penthouse of Spook Central all the way to Star Killer Base, this is Yes Have Some podcast.
Do I? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags.
The only place in the multiverse where you can love the book, hate the movie, but still buy all the toys.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
What?
Please remember to hold on to your butts and get ready to get stressed. With your hosts, Craig Goldberg, Abigail Gardner, and Jacob Walsh.
Them doing one line of dialogue, we could just be like, hey, can you film this for us? Like,
They could do it.
Yeah.
it would just be like the stupidest fan film, but it will be like, hey, we'll make the beginning of it the same as all the other Georgia Ghostbusters, where it's like down.
Son of Ghostbuster.
Listen.
Yeah, well, it'd be called like, part 3, just like all of them, all
Right.
the Georgia Ghostbuster fan films or
How's
part
that
3.
for a part 3?
I love it.
I like it.
That'd be amazing.
Well, listen, now that we've planned our big secret fan film starring the entire original cast of Ghostbusters,
Dude, we got a lot of them.
it's time to start
Kurt Fuller.
Yes Have Some
Let's do it.
episode
Yes, 151.
151.
Are we recording?
We're recording.
Secret
Oh, okay.
recording. Here's the thing, Jake. It's all good. It's all gold, so we're recording it.
All
It's all
gold.
great.
I didn't say anything bad. We're good.
We're good.
Cool, dude. Yeah.
I didn't make fun of anybody.
No.
Not yet.
I didn't
Yeah.
step away from the microphone.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Have Some podcast. Welcome to the show. My name is Craig Goldberg. I am hosting this shindig with Abigail Gardner,
What's up, guys?
Jacob Walsh,
Yep.
and man, we're on a podcast marathon. We just did a Patreon episode.
Yep.
It's going to be up soon, where we talked about the origins of Yes Have Some podcast. Mm-hmm. No stone was left unturned.
we couldn't even get all the way through it.
No, it's going to be a
Two-parter.
Two-parter,
little
yeah.
split ski.
Yeah.
There's some fun stories in there there's stuff in there that I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did that.
There's some stuff that I don't remember because it happened during a different time in my life. So yeah, you
Yeah.
should sign up if you
join
want to listen to those
Patreon to
stories.
get in the goods. Listen, if you want to get on those Patreon bonus episodes, you know what to do. You're going to go to patreon.com/yeshavesome, sign up. $5 a month gets you the entire archive of bonus episodes. We're coming up on our year anniversary, which is crazy.
Whoa.
And then you get 2 to 3 bonus episodes a month. And listen, folks, we're going to California for a week. There will be bonus episodes. There will be stories to tell, things that we...
Videos. There's going to be all kinds of stuff.
Uncensored material.
Uncensored material.
We're gonna illegally film inside the Museum of Death,
YHS Gone Wild.
right?
Okay.
Bum, 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 ba-dum. Does that mean you're going to...
Yeah, that means I'm going to carry a camera around and I'm going to boss you two into doing really stupid
It's gonna
shit.
be one of those things where it's like
I film
it's gonna be like, all right, Craig, you stand right here so they can't see me take a picture of this dead body.
100%.
That kind of stuff.
Dude, yes.
That's happening, right?
You stand here while I climb
are
this
we getting
structure.
kicked out? Remember the time we were on the Jurassic Park ride and Abby got yelled at for having her phone out? That's gonna happen.
And then I came back
4
a year
times
later
it
and I put a
just-
Yes Have Some sticker on that ride.
Yep.
Because I don't care. It didn't stick because it was wet. It's a wet ride.
It's a wet ride.
But it was real fun.
We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for our trip, and we're going to try to do as much exclusive content as we can. So if you want to get in on Patreon, you're going to go to patreon.com/yeshavesome. Oh, shoot. We got a lot going on in our lives, people. We are 2.5 weeks from Ghostbusters Fan Fest.
Fuck.
We've got so much happening. We've got a new Ghostbusters movie coming up. There's a Terminator trailer coming out tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I have to get
by
up
the way,
early.
can we talk about that poster for a minute?
Yeah, let's talk about
Let
it.
me look at it.
It's the laziest, lamest word. Like, if that is the first look at our new Terminator that's supposed to be like, hey, this is right after Judgment Day, we're skipping everything else. That is the laziest, shittiest poster I've ever fucking seen. The picture of
Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
That photo is like the first photo they showed us of her. Like, that picture is just the photoshopped first look that we got months ago of her. It's not. I'm just like, this looks like we made this in 10 minutes.
I just don't.
Procreate.
You know, there's another. There's they released a new poster today for Far From Home that just wasn't. I it's hard for me to judge movie posters in general. Listen, we're print collectors. We're into the alternative art. We're into Mondo. But objectively, movie posters just aren't great for the most part.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
But I agree with you.
They should be better, is what I think as fans of movies. What's the name of the artist who did all the super famous movie posters?
Drew Struzan.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, but you can. There's plenty of artists out there who would, you know, love to be painting or drawing movie posters, and it would be amazing. But even though the world has gone the Photoshop route, you could still do something better than an old picture we've already seen of Linda Hamilton, you know, oddly standing in the middle of a badly photoshopped road. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, they've been hyping up this new Terminator so much about how they want to make sure. Because, you know, the last 2 or 3 have been pretty awful.
Garbage. Yeah.
They're really heavily relying on, like, hey, this is back to Terminator 2. And then they show us the shittiest fucking garbage poster they can. Like, that's what who okayed that?
Yeah.
Ugh. Zero fucks.
Woo.
Hey,
Fuck
why do you
budget.
think I didn't put the fucking poster on the fuck budget?
Going negative. Dude, yeah.
Whoa.
I'm not expecting much. I'm going to get up early and do a reaction video to the trailer, so.
There you go.
There you go. Get used to it.
Let the trailer
Let him
speak.
roll.
Let it roll. So yeah, we got a lot going on. We got some fun stuff coming up. There's a lot. I don't even know what to say. Dan Aykroyd's talking. We're gonna talk about that.
He's talking a lot.
There's so much shit. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's so much happening in the world of Ghostbusters that it's like hard. I want to give these topics like adequate time, but we cover so much. Like there was that announcement today that there's some video game called Coaster. Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay.
But it's like a new version of it. But they're adding Ghostbusters downloadable content where like
You can make a Ghostbusters theme park?
kind of.
Oh, I like that.
And Dan Aykroyd and William Atherton are doing voices.
Planet Coaster.
What?
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
a YouTube
Well, that's
video.
cool.
That sounds awesome. Are you playing the video?
I mean, yeah. I'm trying.
Our listeners will love this.
Just gonna listen
They're
to
gonna
them.
love it.
Listen
You know
to
what?
Abby watching a video.
Wait. Yeah, there's fucking Ghostbusters music.
All right, listen. Shh.
Got the Ecto.
Oh, cool. All right. There you have it. Downloadable content coming to Planet Coaster.
All right. Cool.
Downloadable content.
If you got some money and you
All right.
want to spend it.
Planet Coaster.
Hey, Jake, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How excited are you for the Ray Parker Jr. concert that is closing out Ghostbusters Fan Fest?
I dream about it. I literally dream about it. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I know at 1 year at Dragon Con, there was a little bit of talk among the PKE Surge group where we were trying to see if we could get. It was I think it was when he was going on tour with the Bus Boys, right?
Right.
And they're the guys who do the Cleaning Up the Town song.
Right.
Yeah.
And since they were doing a tour together, we tried to reach out to get them at Dragon Con 1 year, because we were just like, what would it be like if there was a room at Dragon Con, Ray Parker Jr. doing the Ghostbuster theme, and just all of us and our ghosts? Like, would that not? Can you think of anything cooler or more fun than doing that?
Yes,
and,
and I can think of it, and I just thought of it right now.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Ray Parker Jr. performing at Fan Fest with Dan Aykroyd on stage.
Oh.
That's gonna happen.
With a harmonica.
That's
Oh my
going
God.
to happen.
The Dan takeover? Yes.
Guys, what if they asked me to play drums?
You gotta do it. I'm getting on that stage. Guys, how many times has Abby tried to rush a stage and been pulled back by Craig?
Yes.
So
Abby's
many
going to
times.
stage dive and crowd
Oh,
surf.
100%. With a proton pack. No, I'm not.
I don't know if it's...
I don't know if it was... Sorry.
Yeah, anyways. Okay. Oh, we have fun.
We're done.
Dude.
Listen, I'm one of those people, like, my brother called me recently, and we were talking about golf. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, cool.
But we
leaving.
were making fun of how dudes who go to like professional golf tournaments always dress up like they're playing golf. And me and my brother were laughing about it. Like they wear golf shoes and a
That's
polo shirt.
exactly what we do when we go to conventions.
Hold on, though. You're making fun of people who just go to watch golf when you yourself play golf.
No, I'm not making fun of them for watching golf. I'm making fun of them for dressing like golfers.
As if
at
they could
some
at any point.
If at some point Tiger Woods is going to come over and be like, "Hey man, you want to hit a few?" Like, and it's the same logic I just used of, what if Ray Parker's drummer breaks his wrist and they need a fill-in?
Dude.
Who are you going to call? Craig.
Can we ask Eric?
Is there a drummer here?
We need a drummer.
We're like, I don't know. Craig's the only drummer.
Yeah, I'm the only one. Fuck.
I'm a drummer. You like have drumsticks in your pocket for some reason.
Dude, here's what happens. This is how it plays out.
Whiplash.
You motherfucker.
Oh, did I steal it?
You stole my
I
joke.
stole it. Fuck. You can still do it. You can still do it.
It's over.
Okay.
The joke is over.
I couldn't remember his name.
I know.
I wanted to say William H. Macy and H. John Benjamin, but it's
J.K.
not.
Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, for everybody who...
Really fucked that one up. Sorry,
Yeah,
Craig.
Thank you. Okay. We can move on. I was going to say it would be funny if they announced that J.K. Simmons was going to be in the new Ghostbusters movie, and then I was on stage drumming, and I made eye contact with me, with him, and then he threw a cymbal at me.
It's still good. It's still good.
It's kind of good.
I hope he gets cast in that movie so bad.
I think he will. I think he will.
so.
I think he's going to play Lieutenant Detective Gordon, whatever his fucking name is. Lieutenant Detective Gordon.
That's his name.
Okay. Cool. So if you can't tell, we're excited about Fan Fest. Mm-hmm. We all think the exact same way because there's no reason that the two of us at the exact same time decided to make a J.K. Simmons
joke.
at Fan Fest joke about me drumming, but we did.
You did.
And that's
I was just about to say J.K. Simmons.
I'm watching that movie tonight.
Okay.
All right.
Dude,
so
me too.
we're not going to beat around the bush, which is a weird phrase. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Before we get into this fuck budget, anything else? Time is money, as I once said.
As you famously said to Trevor Morgan once, time is money.
I don't know why I said that.
In the beginning, I think you edited that out because you were like, "That's stupid."
We gotta get Trevor back on the show soon.
Yeah.
I like Trevor Morgan a lot. The first
real?
time he was on, sometimes when you're having conversations, especially with an interview, you're trying to segue and transition, and
Also do small talk.
And for some reason, I said, "Well, Trevor, as we know, time is money." And Abby just looked at me like I was a fucking asshole. And I was. Because why would I say that?
It's because we were trying really hard to get Trevor to talk about Jurassic Park, and it was pretty obvious he didn't want to talk about Jurassic Park.
We were trying to make him our friend. I remember.
Well, Abby's the one who thought William H. Macy was going to be a Fan Fest.
You know what?
What do you got going on here?
I wish I lost a
Abby lost her chapstick.
Cap. You know what?
We are wild. All right, so this is
I
what
can
we're
afford.
gonna do.
You can
Why
afford
it's just
more.
gone wild. I don't know where my chapstick cap is.
I'm a part of every franchise.
I'm a part of every Ghostbusters.
Speaking of that, thank you to Chris Stewart of Proton Charging and the Ghostbusters Interdimensional Cross Rip for sending us patches.
Flaming patches.
The flaming patches. That was very generous of him.
Very cool.
He will now receive, on his deathbed, he will receive total consciousness. That was my Bill Murray impression. What'd you guys think?
That was not one of your better impressions.
I don't think it was as good. Yeah.
Wow, he wasn't trying very hard.
I like a different impression more. Oh.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is go on to the fuck budget here because we got a lot to cover. We got some big... These aren't small topics we got going on here. These are big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good ones.
They're big.
I'd say yes.
I feel
They're
like
good ones.
We're hitting on some things.
4 out of the 5 of these we could spend a whole episode talking about. So I just want to get into it. Does that sound okay to you guys?
Let's do it.
Fuck. Motherfuck.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I don't give a fuck.
All right. So it's time for the Yes Have Some Fuck Budget, the fun segment where we take 5 topics relevant to our interests. We break them down. Abby, Jake each have 10 fuck bucks to spend. They cannot spend more than their allocated fuck bucks on any of these given topics. And as always, there is no fuck bank. There is no fuck credit cards.
Ooh, I want to buy an old ATM and make it the YHS fuck budget ATM that dispenses fuck bucks. Fuck bucks. I just decided that.
Fuck butts?
I said fuck butts, but I'm going to go ahead and say that was an accident. I meant to say fuck bucks.
Hey, you know what the opposite of fuck
What's a
butts
fuck
are?
butt?
Butt fucks.
Butt fucks? Oh, episode 151.
The episode where we finally said
Butt fucks.
Stop it.
All right.
Stop.
Here we go.
We need to do a fuck budget.
boy.
Stop swearing.
All right. Are we ready for topic 1?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
The brand new trailer for season 3 of Westworld dropped during Game of Thrones this week. Or not during it. Not the middle of the episode. They didn't play the
People would have been really complaining a lot.
So we got the new trailer for season 3 of Westworld. It's out. People seem to be reacting to it. Jacob Walsh, when it comes to season 3 of Westworld's trailer, starring Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad fame, how many fucks do you give?
Hear me out.
All right.
I gave this 0 fucks. 0
No comment.
Listen. The first season of Westworld, I think is amazing. I think from start to finish, the first season, it's very great. It's very fun. I have rewatched it. All the acting is amazing in that show. There's some really weird twists and turns happening. I felt the one thing that I felt was a little weird with season 1 was how quick they jump into, letting the robots and the androids and everything kind of revolting and figuring out, what is happening. It kind of like completely shuts down your whole story. Like, I mean, it's good if you're only going to do one season, but when season 2 started, it felt super weird. It felt like they did not know what to do with the show because they had already, they've already reached that point where it's like, it's over. Westworld's over. I don't think I watched past the 3rd episode of season 2. I hated it. I didn't think it was good. It wasn't as like intriguing. The best part about season 1 is Dolores and how amazing that actor is, and watching her go, from like this just robot who's happy to be doing the same thing over and over to like her learning and figuring things out and kind of becoming more like, it's such a fun and well executed arc, and then it's all over.
Yeah.
And then season 2 seems so weird because it really felt like they didn't know what they were doing. I stopped watching it. And now this, I don't give a shit about this. It looks completely, I will watch it. I'll try to check it out. Maybe I'll go back and try to rewatch season 2. But I'm like, this is not Westworld anymore. This is like, let's try to fix something we fucked up. I don't know. Like, I just don't. 0 fucks.
Yo, I feel you, Jake. I put down, initially I wrote 0 fucks, but I adjusted that to half a fuck. I'm giving half a fuck to this trailer.
So you're talking about a 50 cent piece.
A 0.5. Yeah, 50 cent. Fuck. So I still haven't finished season 2 of Westworld, just like you, Jake. I fell off super hard. I loved the first season. I remember thinking the show had a lot of promise. It had the number one thing that drew me was Dolores' storyline, plus the idea of the droids or whatever robots, gaining consciousness and becoming prescient and like their rebellion was something that I wanted to be slow rolled just like you. And I remember watching that first episode of the second season and just having zero interest in there not being any drive or motivation for the characters. So I can't give that many fucks. I did, however, I thought this trailer, Dolores is in it. And that's...
You said something really funny earlier today about this trailer.
Yeah?
You did, yeah. When you through text, are you talking about what she said through text message?
Yeah.
Oh, I said that. Yeah. I said that I stopped this trailer twice because I thought it was the wrong trailer. I was like, this is not Westworld. Is this a follow-up to Breaking Bad?
Did it not just feel like a fucking... I was like, oh, cool. Is this a bad Blade Runner ripoff?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, to me, besides Dolores, like, watching William and watching the man, who we are the same person, but those three plot lines in the first season and those three actors are just, it's all like beautiful, but it's all done. It's like, fuck it. That's not what we're getting anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think I care. I know that Lena Waithe is going to be in this new season, and she's pretty cool, and I like her. Obviously, Jesse from Breaking Bad, what's his name, Aaron Paul, is going to be in it. That's fine. But yeah, it wasn't like the most wow of a trailer. It was just kind of a like ho-hum dystopic futuristic type robots hanging out deal. I don't know that it's going to be something I like set aside time to watch necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand. Not much else to say. Craig, what about you?
I'm eating a fruit snack. That's how much
we can hear.
Care. That's how much I care about it. Oh, listen.
It's whatever. There's other things that I give more of a fuck about in this budget. So
I also didn't finish season 2. I thought the trailer was pretty well done. For all we know, that's like the first 20 minutes of the first episode, and then it moves on to something else. Mm-hmm.
I think that the sci-fi western confluence like that, those two elements blending together is what I really liked. So seeing that it's a completely different. You just handed me a bunch of fruit snacks and you expect me to not take them all? Sorry, this is Craig is like what is the term for when you give a gift and you I can't. Don't. Oh my God, do we have to cut that?
No, just keep
Probably.
It's literally a Seinfeld quote, so not. It's a Seinfeld quote. Oh my God. Fruit snacks. Westworld. I legitimately forgot what I was talking about. You're gonna have to cut it.
No, I'm not cutting shit.
I think we were moving to the next topic on the
second
budget.
topic.
This is the one I've been wanting to talk about.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it's my fucking idea.
We were talking about Westworld when we did that. That was fun.
In a recent interview, Uncle Dan Aykroyd says he has written a script for Ghostbusters High, which would be a 1960s set prequel featuring Peter Venkman, Egon Spengler, Ray Stantz in high school, first meeting. And he says that he's written the script. He's turned it in to Jason Reitman. I don't know. The wording in the interview is weird.
This is all bullshit. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He said that they might do it.
He said it's on his desk, but it's also way, way down the list.
Way down.
It's literally one sheet of paper probably that has the words Ghostbusters High on it.
I'm sure Jason Reitman's like, cool, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan. We're going to put this on the fridge, Dan.
Do you remember your lines yet, Dan?
This is not the first time Dan Aykroyd has mentioned Ghostbusters High. I think we've touched on it before.
Yeah.
This is not the Ghostbusters High I had the idea for.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that my idea for Ghostbusters High is just a complete ripoff of Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So he says that this would be a prequel. It could be an extended feature or a television series. he also kind of made it seem like Jason Reitman would be helming this series. I'm sure Jason Reitman's like, hey, can I just direct this one movie I'm doing?
Do it?
But he also mentions that there's a couple other concepts for Ghostbusters. Obviously, we know that they've been talking about the animated movie and such for a while. So
it's like when your parents make promises for you to hang out with other people that you don't want to make or whatever. You know what I mean? You're like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Is there an exact quote here? We're looking to do this as probably a glorified feature or pilot within the next maybe 5 years. It would lead on to a television project. He's hoping Reitman can take charge. It's on his desk, but that's years away from this current project. But it's a neat idea for a prequel. Imagine casting the 3 characters as teenagers.
So cool.
When it comes to Ghostbusters High and Peter, Egon, and Ray as teenagers, Abigail, how many fucks do you give?
I gave this 2 fucks. Because it's Ghostbusters, I have to give it 1 fuck for sure. But I give it 2 because this is subject matter that we just cover a lot on the podcast. Specifically, Craig has pitched his own Ghostbusters High, which is Extreme Ghostbusters. And I actually would rather watch Extreme Ghostbusters as a live action TV show. I feel like there's probably not much validity to this. I give it fucks because I always enjoy hearing Dan Aykroyd talk about his other projects and what's coming down the pipeline. Jake, that's your cue to say the pipeline in your...
The pipeline.
Okay, good. Oh,
thank you.
You're welcome.
The pipeline.
I just want to talk to Dan Aykroyd at Fan Fest about it. I want to be like, who do you see casting? I just want to get him at breakfast.
He's a little out of touch. He's going to name...
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Michael Cera. And Brad Pitt. Yeah, I don't know. Jake, how many fucks, man?
I gave it 0 fucks, man. This is the same kind of Dan Aykroyd bullshit that we've been listening to for 15 years. Ghostbusters High is nothing new. He's talked about it before. We know better. We know that this is all complete bullshit from Dan. This is not on anybody's desk. There's no script written. It's just an idea that he has had forever. We've heard about it. We have heard him talk about how many things are in line or in works. It's nothing. It's not going to happen. Why can't we just focus on Ghostbusters that's being made? I just gave it 0 fucks. There's nothing new here. This is not news. It's just Dan Aykroyd being Dan Aykroyd.
This is not news.
It's just Dan Aykroyd being Dan Aykroyd. I feel like Ivan probably took Jason in a room whenever he decided to do this movie, and he was like, all right, Dan's going to talk a lot of shit. Dan's going to say things. He's going to mention a lot of stuff that's not happening. You just got to let him do his thing.
Yeah.
It's just we have heard Dan Aykroyd talk about multiple Ghostbusters projects. It's weird because it feels like I want to be like, Dan, you don't have to do that anymore. The movie's, it's being made. It always felt like Dan Aykroyd never wanted to be the one to be like, no, there's nothing happening. So he always kind of had a story or had he just had all this wishful thinking, and it just feels like maybe he got used to all that. So now anytime he gets asked about Ghostbusters, he still wants to be like, oh, well, we're doing this and we're doing this and we're doing this. And I'm like, hey, you don't have to make shit up anymore.
Right.
There's actually a movie coming out.
To build on this a little bit, he did also talk about the Jason Reitman movie a little bit. He said it's he said it was a special, heartwarming, and scary script with really scary stuff in it. He kind of alluded to Carrie Coon as being the one to kind of take the mantle. But they didn't really focus on it that much. The thing that I thought was really interesting was his backpedaling on the Paul Feig comments. As we approach Fan Fest, and we know that Paul Feig will be a guest. The last time Dan Aykroyd talked about Paul Feig, he was saying that he costs too much, and this time he was saying basically the same thing, but saying that he was taking the blame as a producer because one of the producer's roles is to kind of keep track of spending and keep costs down and all that kind of stuff. And he's very quick to praise all the cast and all that stuff. So, breaking news. Paul Feig will be let back onto the Sony lot for Fan Fest.
Yes.
And maybe him and Dan will hug it out or something.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I personally think that when it comes to the world of Ghostbusters, film projects and television projects and all that the possibilities are very endless, and I think there's a chance one day we might see a Ghostbusters prequel of some sort. I don't think it will be this.
Yeah.
I think there's a better chance of the franchise like stopping and just not going on anymore before I just don't. How do you recast? I know
a 1960s teen dramedy or whatever it would be, like TV series.
There's too many questions.
Yeah,
for one, 1984 Ghostbusters was the first time they saw a ghost. Unless the whole show is going to be about Ray and witnessing his mass sponge migration.
Yeah.
Which
it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I know Star Trek did it, and they I guess there's ways they could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's like young Sheldon almost at that point. It's just like, because at this point, if you're not going to have ghosts in it, if it's not supernatural, it's just going to be like watching Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Bill Murray hang out in high school.
Nobody wants to. Bill Murray in high school looked exactly like he did his entire life. Like it's too hard. Yeah. It's too hard. Don't do it.
They fucked it up with Solo too, so it's tough. Don't try it.
Yeah, there's no track record of this working.
Yeah.
Let's not experiment with Ghostbusters anymore.
No more experimentation.
All right? Okay, cool. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, it was announced that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
The director of that upcoming feature being produced and created, adapted by Guillermo del Toro, Andre Overdal will be directing the Stephen King adaptation for The Long Walk. Mm-hmm. And that is where my knowledge ends on the subject. So, Jake, while I take a break, why don't you tell me how many fucks you give about The Long Walk and Andre Orvidal directing it?
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't know much about him. Scary Stories is not out yet. Though it does look very fun, and I am excited about it. I gave this 4 fucks. Because The Long Walk has been one of my favorite Stephen King books. It is very fucked up. It's like Stephen King kind of has two. He does. It's either like monsters and horror stuff, or it's like detective kind of stuff. And he's kind of leaning very heavily in the detective stuff in his older age. This book is kind of neither. While it is kind of a horror story, there are no monsters really. It's just like, Craig, do you know what The Long Walk is about?
I do.
Should I talk about it? Should we mention what it is?
Yeah, I can kind of explain it. So basically, Mandy Moore and her boyfriend both have cystic fibrosis.
Oh my God, I love that movie. A Walk to Remember.
Oh, that's
I watched that with commentary. I was obsessed with it.
Jake, give a synopsis.
That's a bonus episode.
There's a synopsis there. Yeah.
So The Long Walk is it takes place in a future where once a year a certain amount of young men have to do the long walk. And it is basically they start walking and they have to go until there's only one person left. There are like rules where if you stop for a certain amount of time, you get like a flag, or you'll get like you get warnings. After your third warnings, you just get shot in the face. and they scoop you off the fucking road, and that's it.
Yep.
The winner basically gets a
prize of their choice.
Of whatever they want, basically. And people do it for different reasons. Some people want to be rich. Some people want to help their family. Whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just that's what it is. The entire book is this group of boys, and they're doing the long walk. You hear, different reasons they're getting pulled out of the game. Some sabotaging happening. Like what happens to your mental state. Yep. Doing something like this. It is a pretty it sound like when you're picking up a book where you're like, oh, I'm about to read 300, 400 pages of just kids walking. It sounds very boring, but it is a very good book. It's very great. And I read it probably maybe 2 years ago. And as soon as I read it, I was like, why isn't there a movie version? Like, this is what we should be watching. This would be great. And at the time, I read that like Frank Darabont owned the rights to it because he wanted to make it.
Yeah.
Which would have been amazing because I believe, and I've said this before, that Frank Darabont is the man to make every single Stephen King adaptation in the world. He's very good at it. He gets it. He loves that stuff just as much. I think, it's his favorite thing. So I thought that would have been great. It's not him making it, and that's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm glad this is being made. It is very different. It's not like I can't think of another story that it's a unique narrative, and I think it'd be good.
Yeah. I finished reading The Long Walk today. I took a pause.
It's fucked up, right? That ending. It's fucked up.
Yes, and I fucking loved it. I gave it 4 fucks, just like you. I had to go and read about it on Wikipedia. It was Stephen King's first book. He wrote it before Carrie, actually, like chronologically. And I love it because it's like dystopic, and it's obviously that like futuristic thing. It reminds me of like Logan's Run or this movie Rollerball, where it's like the fact that
season 3 of Westworld.
Yeah. Okay. I love it because like the men on the walk, the 100 of them, like as they get narrowed and whittled down, all the onlookers that watch them, like that's the shit that's like really fucked up. I don't know if it was a metaphor for joining the military and for like anti-war sentiment, but that's kind of the vibe that I got as I was reading it. And it was literally like it's the kind of stuff that like it just was. I think Stephen King does a really good in-depth analysis on the really good things that you live for, the things that are like worthwhile in life, like amidst really fucked up shit, the stuff that like that gets you through life, like relationships with people and like the bits of humor and like and niceness in conversation. And I think that this book literally like had a lot of really good philosophical, like thoughtful discussion, and also a lot of really fucked up, disgusting shit that I really wish I could like actually reference in detail, but all I can say is go and read it. It's not that long. It did take me a while to get it finished, but I like killed the last, I think 5 or 6 chapters today in one sitting. And I'm very excited to see this on screen because my first question after finishing it was, will the walk be co-ed? Because of, at this point, like in the book, they were all.
Of course, I will.
It has to be, which to me makes it more interesting for my own like reasons. I always like to have a female protagonist. I also think Stephen King writes really good female characters, so I was kind of missing that a little bit in this book, but also it's like whatever. It's just a fucking gritty, awesome trudging onward and like breaking down mentally of these guys that you get really close with throughout the entire book. And it leaves you with that like heaviness and like I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see it on screen. I don't know anything about this director, but I think that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark looks good, and I'm just pumped to see this on screen. So, yeah, stoked.
Man, y'all are a bunch of traitors. We got Dan Aykroyd talking about Ghostbusters prequels. Y'all can't even give a fuck.
I gave it 2 fucks. I kind of threw those fucks away. I actually wish I could give it to The Long Walk at this point.
Some no-name director from
Take it
some
back.
book that nobody's ever read.
Oh, and also, here's my other thing. I love that Stephen King wrote as Richard Bachman for this book, because you can still tell it's fucking Stephen King the whole time, because he uses all of his little Stephen King-isms. Like, he talks about the sleepy seeds being in people's eyes, and like the sodium arc lights.
Like, Stephen King is such a, like, I'm pretty sure it's in Thinner. Like, I don't know if you've read...
Yeah.
Thinner was written as Richard Bachman. Yeah. And there is a section of that boy where he kind of makes fun of, he's like, oh, it's like a Stephen King book.
I love him.
Dude,
I'm like, you asshole.
I like what's it called when a writer does that, when they have like a second name? Like a
it's like it's a pen name or a pseudonym.
Yeah.
Synonym.
Yes.
Wait, not pseudonym.
It's not.
I don't know.
Cinnamon.
Writer's other name.
Can we call up Andrew Schaefer?
Pen name.
Just call him and ask him this dumb question.
Nom de plume.
Yeah, you guys had it right.
Pseudonym.
Yeah.
Guys, we're doing good. Good job. Good job.
Dictionary.
Anything else on the long walk?
Google.
I do like to get Abby to finish a book in one sitting, you just got to put on the fuck budget.
Oh, I didn't want.
Next week I'm putting on.
My OCD was like, no, there could be a spoiler in that article. You got to finish the book.
Next week I'm gonna be like, when it comes to the Bible.
Shut the fuck up. The Stand. No,
Yeah,
do not put
when
The
it comes
Stand.
to
I
The
need
Stand-
time.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I recommend y'all read that. It's good.
Cool. Y'all ready for the next?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Today, Vanity Fair revealed their entire preview episode issue online of episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Bunch of new images, a really, really well done article, interviews with J.J. Abrams and all sorts of folks. Now, before I ask the fucks, because I know the answers to these questions and I can't wait to get them.
Okay.
I read the entire article twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Abigail, did you read
Craig
the
can't even read past first chapter of any Stephen King book. He can read this fucking book is as long as the long
You
walk.
should
or
try
this
online books.
article.
What's online books? Abby, did you read the article?
Yeah, I did. I had to skim towards the end because it was like at that point 6:30, and I was like, "Shit,
Same.
I need to do my
Same.
bonus episode prep." So I kind of skimmed past some of like the Poe Dameron and stuff, and then like got to the very
this
end.
Is Yes, have some
Wait,
podcast. We're here for one
wait.
reason, to talk about the pictures.
I have notes. I definitely got good information, and I did look at all the pictures. And
Cool.
yeah.
Well, Jake?
I read most of the article, yes.
All right, who gives the
It's
fucks
long.
first on this one?
I think it's my turn.
Abigail,
Exactly.
when it comes to this episode 9 preview and all of the brand new images we saw and what you read about,
Yeah.
how many fucks do you give?
3 fucks. And that's mostly because of the tidbit I found out, which is that the blue milk cocktail at the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is non-dairy. So, Jake, you and I could both enjoy it. And I'm
Yes!
really... Yay! Yay! Oh, I didn't even look at the pictures. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really excited. I liked reading this article, for one. I loved looking at the photos. I'm looking at the photos now. Couple things stand out. First of all, you see Luke at the very end. I don't know in what capacity he's there, but it's a cool-ass photo. You see John Williams directing his orchestra with a picture of Leia, which is chilling, and the stuff written about her and the scenes that were used from The Force Awakens and how J.J. Abrams used them. That was really interesting stuff from the article. Got me pumped. Carrie Fisher in her, like, cool-ass bounty hunter costume looks really, really cool.
Carrie Russell.
What did I say?
Carrie Fisher.
Oh, fuck, y'all. That's going to be tough. All right, so I also like the picture with, like, the horse-like creatures with Finn and Janna.
Are those fathiers? Are those the things
No,
from...
they're called Orbaks.
Okay. So they've introduced new creatures to ride on. Which these look better than the fathiers to me.
They do, because they're not fucking CGI.
Yeah, they don't want to, yeah.
Oh.
I hope that's a practical horse, I imagine.
Practical horse. Guys, the new Star Wars,
Practical
all
horses.
practical horses.
Practical horses.
Yeah, I want to get Jake's fucks first, and then we can like
Yeah, this
have
is
a
kinda shit. We'll
general,
go back and forth.
general discussion about it. Jake?
Listen. We all know my struggle with Star Wars. But one day, Craig, you were like, I don't think this was on an episode. I think this was just on a phone call or something. We were talking about Star Wars. Maybe it was we were talking about the toys. And you were like, you said, hey, you love Star Wars. You have a Star Wars tattoo on your face. And I was like, I do love Star Wars. I gave this 5 fucks.
Whoa.
I gave it 5 fucks. I think it all looks really good. This is like my favorite kind of stuff to see. Like seeing, this is the exact same thing they did with Force Awakens. There was a lot of behind the scenes photos happening, a lot of pictures to show you like, hey, this is not in front of a green screen. In fact, that was one of the things I really liked in the article was there's a whole thing in there about how they were like, you know what, when George made the prequels, you know, it was all green screen, but that's what he wanted. Like that's how he wanted it to look, and that's how it looked. And they're like, but there's something about being in a real environment and the way the light, you know, will reflect off the sand and onto, you know, people and real things, and you just can't get that on a green screen. And he's like, it's very easy to, they say it in there. They're like, you bring a smog machine into a forest, it's a Star Wars location. Like anything looks like it can look good, and it does look good. And they show us that. And that picture of Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 with fire in the, I don't know what the fuck is happening, where that picture is from. It is the best picture I've ever seen. Like, it looks so, all these pictures look really good, and it got me really excited. Even knowing, basically nothing about this movie, like this article and those pictures, everything looks super polished and fancy, and it just looks like it should. It looks like Star Wars. It just made me feel happy for Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a really well done article. I thought all the stuff that, Abby mentioned, all the Carrie Fisher stuff, the way that J.J. Abrams talks about repurposing those scenes that were unused from Force Awakens, and how they were able to make them fit in a way that he was kind of like, it doesn't even make sense how well it worked.
Yeah, he was saying it gave him chills, and that he felt like she was like somehow orchestrating it or whatever. It was really cool. And when JJ gets it, like JJ knows the task at hand here, right? He knows. Yeah, for sure. He's never going to say it, but he knows that fans didn't 100% jive with TLJ vibes.
Yeah, the Last Jedi, and he knows why. I think if J.J. Abrams would have done The Last Jedi with the exact same storyline, with all the same stuff, you would have a movie that much more people liked. I just think he gets Star Wars in a way.
He's got a little bit of a better hold on it than probably most filmmakers do right now.
But I mean, that's not just because of he makes good movies. Like, he's a great director. So let's break down some of these images. So we got our first kind of close up shot of the Knights of Ren.
Yep.
Which is really cool. Like, costumes look cool. Ryan Dole sent me a funny message earlier, and he was like, if the Knights of Ren get the Captain Phasma or Boba Fett treatment, I'm going to lose my mind. Because,
that's in the article. They mention how,
it's in the article, literally, yeah.
Yeah, how badass villains in Star Wars are underutilized in, combat. So I think it's cool that they're just in there, because that's a tether, a part of The Force Awakens actually coming out in the movie, which is I like to see that connectivity.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a mention in the article that says there's things that have always been planned. And it seems like there's more of a plan now that's going to connect these three movies than maybe that there was previously.
Yeah, well, I think J.J. Abrams said that at one point, that he was thinking about, rather than just finishing this specific trilogy of the new movies, he's finishing the entirety of it, from beginning of the saga to the end. So
get a little choked up over here.
Yeah, dude.
We get our first close-up image of Kerry Russell's character. I don't have the name in front of me, but we don't know anything.
Something Bliss here.
Yeah, we don't have. We don't know anything about the character. What's it called? I'll get it in a second. Okay. But it's cool. It's a very cool looking. The helmet's cool. You kind of get. I always say this. I said this about Captain Phasma and everybody else, but I don't know. I feel like she's going to play an important part to the story. I don't feel like, I'll put it this way, because they're wrapping up the Skywalker trilogy, I don't think they would be introducing new characters that weren't really important parts to the story, Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to see characters that are filler characters. I just don't, that doesn't seem, because you didn't really get a lot of that in The Force Awakens. Every character that was introduced served a very specific purpose. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool.
Yeah, which was one of the things that pissed me off about The Last Jedi, that it ended on a character that nobody knew, which was the kid that was sweeping or whatever.
And then you scroll through, you see more stuff from the set. There's a thing in the article that C-3PO does something really surprising in this movie. What do you guys think that is?
I think he kills somebody.
I
mean, maybe not a good person. I think he's going. I mean, there's that picture of him wearing Chewbacca's
the bandolier
gear holding. I think maybe he takes out some enemies or something. Maybe he does some fighting back, and maybe that's something that you don't get a lot of him doing.
Okay.
Zori Bliss is the name.
Ah, there it is. Okay.
And then you got that shot of Finn and Jana, who I still think is probably going to end up being Finn's sister. That's what I think. That's my guess.
Maybe, yeah.
So everybody's guessing that she'll be Lando's daughter, but Who knows?
Yeah.
You got this really...
I'm down for whatever, honestly.
So I want to talk about this shot of Kylo and Rey fighting. Looks like there's water. Like, this looks like they could be on the remnants of that Death Star we saw in the trailer.
It looks like that, or they're either on a ship, they're on the top of a ship or something. Yeah.
Either way, it's going to be God. I'm very excited. And then I really love this shot of inside the Millennium Falcon with Lando, Poe Dameron, BB-8, Dio, and Chewbacca. And they're all kind of leaning. Like, it's just cool. Like, it's
There's
just
a
cool.
lot of character and like personality being shown in that photo. I like it a lot.
God. Kind of miss Han Solo, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Wish he was there.
Yeah.
Dio's pretty
we're
cool.
gonna get a little bit of Han Solo.
You think so?
Little something.
There's no way there's not going to be some sort of flashback or something. Like, if you're going to do the very last, it's ending the trilogy. Like, I can definitely, not just the trilogy, the whole Skywalker story. There's going to be some sort of shot of Leia, Han, and Luke. Maybe even if it's just a shot from one of the original films as just kind of a flashback or something. We're going to see those three characters on screen together.
Here's something I thought of. That line in the trailer, "Nobody's ever really gone." As the Jedi have developed their abilities, I mean, what if there was the ability to see like a Force ghost Han somehow, or to resurrect Han? Like, you never know.
What if Han comes back with a? What if he just comes back and he's got the metal legs just like Darth Maul?
Yes. Dude, I want to see.
This is not what I planned on.
There has to be some plane of existence or some place where
I bet we're getting some. I bet we're getting some Obi-Wan in this movie.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I think that I feel like this movie is going to have a holy shit moment. Like
on your left.
Kind of like something
maybe
like a moment where we're seeing Force Ghost, Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, like just something that's just like, wow, this really is tying it all together. They're all standing around a campfire celebrating with Ewoks. But yeah, this shot with Luke and R2 is crazy. And when I first saw it, I thought maybe that was from the scene they always show, which is when the Jedi Temple gets burned down, but it's not.
It's fucking beautiful.
It's later on. That's because his hair's grown out.
Luke looks different, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who knows? Like I said, possibilities are endless. I just hope this is a 3-hour movie too. Like, I hope it's a 4-hour movie because I don't want it to end. So,
yeah,
very excited about Star Wars. I definitely recommend everybody goes and reads this Vanity Fair article.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get fucks to give, but I give it 10.
Okay.
I can do that. Anything else before we move on?
No, I don't think so. Cool. It's good.
And I thought the stuff with Billy Lord. We have a cat in here. Carrie Fisher's daughter, and how she's going to share a scene with her mom. I thought that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool too.
All right, cool.
Pretty cool.
Last but not least, only Yes Have Some podcast puts we've never talked about Game of Thrones before in our entire existence, but we're going to put the finale at the end of the fuck budget.
Do it.
I figured we had to talk about it. It's a big moment in pop culture.
Every single person's talking about it, so.
Before we get into this and wrap up this fuck budget, Abby, what was your level of fandom of Game of Thrones throughout the series?
Can I just tell you how many fucks I gave?
Not yet.
All right, my investment in Game of Thrones has been pretty minimal. I haven't read any of the books.
Do you have any collectibles?
No.
Any shirts?
No prints either, and I've never done a costume.
But you've seen every episode.
I have seen every episode.
Who's your favorite character?
Arya, and then the Hound, and I like Tormund and Brienne of Tarth. Jon Snow's okay. So yeah, I mean, everybody knows a little bit about it, but I personally, I don't think my investment level is anywhere near a lot of people's. It's not a show that I think about when it's not on television. I kind of like the fact that it is a heavily watched show, and it feels like the last water cooler show or whatever. But I don't care nearly as much about it as I do about other shows. I think it's a very well done show, though. And I know people certainly cared and had a lot of opinions about the finale.
Okay, before we give fucks, Jake, same questions. What was your level of fandom?
I didn't start watching the show at the beginning. It was one of those things that you always heard about. Like people really, really love the show, and it's very vocal. There are things that have happened in the course of this show that if you're not watching, you still know what they are, or
Red Wedding,
or at least could give you, like the red. Like I wasn't watching the show when the Red Wedding happened, but I remember being like, something fucking crazy happened on some TV show last night, and I remember being like, apparently there's also dragons now on this show. Yeah. Apparently everybody is hot on this show and
they're
naked at some point. Apparently also there's heavy incest in this. I just remember being like, I know a lot more about this show than I think I should without seeing it. I think around season, how many seasons was it complete? It's 8, right?
Yeah.
8. Okay.
8 seasons. I think maybe during season 5 is when I started watching. I watched all of it pretty quick. Like I caught up with it pretty quickly. And then I watched the last 2 or 3 seasons kind of as they came out. I also don't own any sort of Game of Thrones merchandise. I don't think I ever would buy anything. But also, that show is very well done. Like it is a very good show. I think especially seasons 1 through 7 is some of the best stuff. I would go even like we'll talk about what we all think of the finale or whatever. But I would go like I see myself already kind of being like, I kind of want to start over now that it's all out and just watch it all again and see if I feel different or, just like knowing everything. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really great show. Yeah.
Cool. Who are your favorite characters?
The Hound has always been my favorite character. There's all kinds of people who kind of come and go that are fun to watch. I always rooted for Daenerys. She was never like my favorite character, but I always liked her because she's always been like, she's like a badass. She always has been until season 8. She's always been like someone that I feel like anybody would really root for. Mm-hmm. But the Hound has always been my favorite character because he's kind of a piece of shit, but then he's also really funny. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He kind of has a little bit of an arc from being like completely a piece of shit to becoming like a pretty good dude. And I like him and Arya's storyline throughout the entire show has I think been one of the best. Whenever they go off on their they go off on a hike together. And,
just a little walk.
That was a very fun part of the show. Like that was it was very fun, and there was a lot of good character stuff happening between both of them at that point in the show.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we're out of time. No. Having said all that,
dude, people would complain about this episode as much as they complained about the finale if we just
my biggest complaint about season 8 is the total lack of nudity and strong sexual situations in the last 5 episodes.
We got time for that anymore.
If I don't see that Anne and that SS, I don't watch.
It's what I live for. It'll literally turn my night around.
All right, Jake, how many fucks on this finale?
Well, I don't know if you've been keeping count.
Have not.
I gave one thing 4 fucks and I gave something else 5 fucks. I only have 1 fuck to give. And that's all I gave it. I felt so weird with just the entire last season of the show. And about 3 or 4 episodes in, we had a conversation where I was like, oh, there's some weirdness going on, but I still kind of like this. But the last, I would say, starting with the battle with, the Night King and the White Walkers, I pretty much thought it was all really bad. I didn't like a lot of it. I think, like people complain a lot when any show ends. There's always people who don't like something, and a lot of times I think it's really easy to just be like, okay, well, this is not the way I would have liked it to gone. I don't like it. And sometimes, this feels like a different case to me. It's not that I'm upset that the ending is different than what I thought it was going to be. The things that are upsetting about this last season of the show is there really are multiple storylines and arcs that have been slowly being crafted in like a very beautifully written way from season 1 that literally completely go in the opposite direction within like 2 episodes. And it makes no sense. It's just like, that's the kind of stuff that's angering. I think there's some really great stuff in the finale. I'm fine with the way it ended with like Bran on the throne and, you know, the characters kind of going their own way. I do think what they did to Daenerys's character as far as the writing is completely stupid and makes absolutely no sense with season 1 through 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I well, before I chime in, Abby, why don't you go for it?
Well, I definitely agree with Jake on like the departure from the character that we've grown to know with Daenerys in the last couple episodes, and in this last season. However, was on her side for some of the show and definitely like identified and thought she was very cool, but because she has started to like, I don't know, maybe it was at some point last season. I'm not sure which or when, but I kind of fell off of her train. I gave the finale 0.5, half of a fuck, because that's all I have left to give as well. I think that I like the storylines I cared about were being Arya's The Hound, Brienne of Tarth. I liked the way that they had their stuff wrapped up. I liked seeing Arya go off and to sail to whatever's west of Westeros, and I like that. Again, that's kind of like that. You can fill in the blanks of what her timeline's going to be. Hey, maybe there'll be another show. That would be neat. I didn't mind that wrap up. I thought that the stuff with Daenerys turning and becoming consumed by power, because I guess absolute power corrupts absolutely, or whatever the fucking phrase is. I guess that you could like on paper see how that follows other stories or like it makes some sense, like the throne itself consumed her, and then seeing her be stabbed by Jon Snow, I guess spoilers guys, there you go. It's like it felt Shakespearean to me, and as did the stuff with Jaime and Cersei down underground, because their escape became their entombment and entrapment, and the city that they basically like used to rule came down upon them.
Who built this city? Sorry.
So I didn't like hate that. There was, for me, I was like, I'm satisfied. That's kind of, it's neat and tidy. I know that some people complain saying that's too neat and tidy. I liked seeing the Hound and the Mountain. That's his name, right? Like go at it. That shit was fun. I enjoyed it. And
Dr. Mountain is his father.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have that many complaints, to be completely honest. Like, I thought I finished it because I didn't have that much of a like anticipation or something that I expected to see, and because I didn't have the love of or the need for Daenerys to, it just didn't bother me. I was just kind of like, fuck her anyway at this point. Yeah. I like Arya.
I think so. I don't know if anybody even wants my opinion.
We want your opinion.
I didn't have really an issue with any of the characters' their motivations or the decisions that they made. I think the thing that's jarring is that the pacing of the first basically 6.5 seasons is very long and very drawn out. So therefore, let's take Jaime for instance. Him deciding that he's going to go back to Cersei. And then the traveling back to her, like that's something that they used to stretch out over a season. That would be an arc for a character.
This season did have really fast travel times.
Yeah, and not that, and I get why they had to do it because they were wrapping up. But when you have a story that's written a certain way for so long, when you start accelerating it at that pace,
and when your source material runs out, it's also a little problematic.
Well, that's another story.
But how long ago did the source material run out? Haven't they been writing it for multiple seasons?
Yeah.
Or
let's say, what season did the book stop? But like for instance, Daenerys. What happened with her made total sense to me. Her basically losing her mind and going crazy, like all of that I got, but the way it was executed was so rushed that like I compared it to pro wrestling. When there's like a tag team that is going to be breaking up in wrestling, and listen, friend of the podcast Zack Ryder could speak to this one. They start hinting at it like 6 months to a year ahead of time, and it's like a slow burn.
That is the main issue. That's the main issue.
Right.
I can buy Daenerys becoming consumed with the power of the throne, right? We don't ever even see her get to the throne. It happens in such a, you can't take seasons 1 through 7 are mainly about a woman who starts off as a slave. She is raped. She has a fucking lunatic as a brother. Her family history is insane. And literally, the entire show is about how this woman overcomes her family, overcomes rape, overcomes slavery, liberates these slaves, moves on, destroys all the bad guys, does like everything good. Up and like it gets to the point where all of the people that are in the show that you also like, that are like the good guys, are like, there's nobody better. And then if you want to take that kind of that kind of character is built up over many, many obstacles and seasons in some really great writing. And if you wanted,
you're making me mad, Jake. I'm like,
I'm just
fuck it.
I'm just trying to, I mean, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just saying like they spent a very long time.
I figured it out.
That character through a lot of shit, which is hold on. Let me finish. If you want to make that character a fucking do a heel turn, that is okay. But it takes just as long to make that a believable heel turn as it did to make you believe how great of a person that is. And they did it in 2 fucking episodes. Yeah. They did it in such a quick and pointless and like lame and unsatisfying way. And to kill off that character in the fucking dumbest, laziest of ways after 8 seasons is just annoying.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of these points because, like, I get it. She lost 2 of her dragons, which...
But she lost her councilwoman and, like, best friend.
She lost 2 of her dragons and her best friend.
And it was a very traumatic way that she was killed in front of her.
But, like, her and Jon Snow did not get together till, like, last season, right?
Yeah.
So... I feel like imagine if there was 2 more seasons of that balance of will she or won't she? Is she
That's what it needed. That's what it needed to be. There's not enough time. So they make a really quick point in season 8 to show you that like maybe Arya and Sansa and also Tyrion are kind of like, well, what are you doing? The writers rely on the audience seeing that those characters are weary of her, and they're hoping like, hey, they're basically hoping, hey, if Tyrion is looking at her funny, then you should look at her funny. But we have been watching the show for fucking 7 seasons of the complete opposite. So it's like they just need more time to turn her into that.
It doesn't do justice or respect the character that they've built slowly over all those seasons to have her turn so quickly.
Exactly. And they kind of did the same thing with fucking Jaime Lannister, because he starts off, he's the complete opposite of Daenerys. You know, he starts off a fucking piece of shit, and you kind of become, you know, you turn to like him. He knights Brienne, and you're like, he's a knight. He's genuinely like a good guy now. And then in the last fucking episode, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go be with my sister. And you're like, what?
So
yeah,
I think
why?
In past years, Game of Thrones, like I've always found the storylines to be more interesting than the battles. Like the battles, the big blow off is always like
the
whatever.
Episode before the big battle this season was my favorite.
So
I feel like ever of
imagine if if Game of Thrones had 2 more like this season. Imagine if season 9 was the last season, and this season was all about the build up to the Battle of Winterfell, and we got 8 episodes building up to the battle with the Night King. And then that ended. They had the battle. All the same stuff transpired. But then season 8 ends with Jaime deciding to leave to go back to King's Landing, and various things happening with Daenerys, and in that heel turn kind of starting. And then next season is all the build up to the Battle of King's Landing, where you have 7 episodes of tension and Jon Snow being questioned and wondering what, and that stab to the heart means a lot more after basically 2 years of build up, more than like basically an episode and a half of build up.
I knew that also. That shit, I saw it coming. As the second you see him walk in, it's like, oh, he's armed. She's gonna die.
I mean, that's what the show needed, and I did read that like HBO was like, hey, you guys can have as many seasons as you want, basically. And George R.R. Martin was also like, you guys need probably like 3 more seasons to wrap this up the way he was thinking. But they just didn't want to.
No.
And I don't
do Star Wars.
And I don't know if it's because like of other, I don't know if it's because they knew Star Wars is happening and they just needed to get off of this project, or if maybe they're, they spent, I don't know, 10 years of their lives doing this, and maybe they're just kind of done with it. But that's ultimately the reason that this last season, I have seen, a few of the actors kind of being like also a little disappointed with some of the ways it's gone. And it's just like, I didn't really, the first few episodes I thought I liked, the first few episodes of the season, I thought they were fine. But whenever you had the episode where they fight the White Walkers, and it's like, you learn nothing about the White Walkers. You don't see the Night King do anything really cool, and he just gets killed by Arya super quick. I know it was a long episode, but it's just like I was like, there have been other battles in this show that were more compelling and,
easier to see,
anxious, and like I felt more anxious just watching Tyrion walking up to the castle with Cersei. I was like, there was more tension in that than there was in that entire episode of the Night King, and we've been talking about the fucking Night King the entire show, and it was just like, boom, done, we're over. And it kind of felt the same way with Cersei. Like you would think that they would write a satisfying death to the woman who's been the main villain of the entire show. And it's like, oh, actually, none of the good characters actually get the satisfaction of killing her, seeing her die. And she also dies in the arms of the only person she loves.
Right.
So good for her. I changed my opinion. Fuck this show. I'm very upset.
No, I think everybody wants.
I care?
I still think it's a great show overall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's so much good stuff in seasons 1 through 7, and there are aspects of the ending of the show that I think work. And I think the plot lines could have been fine. It needed 2 or 3 more seasons to make it believable.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, let's start a petition.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as angry as some people were, but like, I think it's hard for, if you're just a casual TV viewer, people know they're angry, but I think a lot of people don't know why they're angry, and I think a lot of it has to do with just the way the story was told for 7 years. Even though the last season, the episode, do you remember like going into this season, everyone was like, dude, this is going to be epic. Every episode's going to be like its own movie. Because they're like an hour and a half.
Well, that's what they said in the promo for it. They're like, every episode has been like its own movie.
But
filming it.
They were longer, but they didn't feel like movies. They felt like longer episodes of Game of Thrones. So
yeah. I wouldn't say that I'm angry at the ending. I would just say that I'm a little bummed out. Like I'm left disappointed with some of these weird choices.
I think I agree. I think it's a little dissatisfying when compared to some of the other options they could have gone with, or maybe a little bit of an easy way out to put Jaime and Cersei down there.
I've seen a lot of argument, and this isn't stuff that I will like jump into, and it's not stuff that I've really clicked on and read all the way through, but I've seen a lot of people really mad about the Daenerys thing, and they're saying that, they took a character that was like a very, very strong female positive character and just made her basically be like, oh, she's got a crazy family, she's crazy. And they're like, that's pretty negative, stereotype to throw out there. And I mean, that sucks that's the kind of backlash we're getting here, but I mean, it's kind of what they did.
Yeah. Jake, she was a strong, empowered female. It sounds like even you were inspired by her. And the story,
I never really liked Daenerys, but I liked her.
I really did, especially when she became the breaker of chains.
Dude, especially when she was Sarah Connor.
It's the dragons, dude. It's the dragons.
Dude,
it's like the dragons get you in. I don't know, man. You're watching a show like this where you have characters like Joffrey and you have so many just pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Dude, so many people in the show are awful.
Jake wants to be father of dragons.
You're absolutely right. Now we can close off on this, but the reason why Cersei's death is so dissatisfying and not satisfying is because the show. Look how Joffrey died.
Yeah.
Poisoned at his own fucking, what was it, his wedding or whatever it was. And it was humiliating, and he got what he deserved. And this was...
And the show's full of stuff like that.
Right. When Cersei's walking down the thing and everybody did the shame thing, like, fuck this bitch, she's getting what she deserves. Even when it's the good guys getting, I'm just like the Red Wedding. Even those are all characters that are good guys. Those are all people you like that are getting killed in the Red Wedding. But that episode is so brutal and it's kind of terrifying. There's that part where I rewatched that scene the other day. I've been going through on YouTube and rewatch. The show's been on for so long. It's like I can't even remember some of the stuff that happens in the show. And I rewatched the Red Wedding, and there's a scene where a pregnant woman gets stabbed in her belly 6 times. And I'm just like, this is awful. But also this is what this show is about. There's the fucking mountain gouges, what's his name's eyes out and crushes it. There's a lot of really brutal shit in the show. And it feels like season 8 is the PG version of this show. They glossed over. I could see it's all gone. There's no the main deaths. Some rubble fell on them.
Dude, I could see them in the writer's room probably being like, oh, it'll be so fucked up. They're on their way to escape, her and Jamie, but then the city, all the rubble blocks it off, and then they're trapped and they die down there. But that doesn't...
I thought Jamie...
Not as bad as it should be.
I thought Jamie slept with Brienne and realized that maybe he realized... I don't know if it's I loved her, but I thought he was going to be I realized how terrible my sister was and she has to get what's coming to her.
I thought that's what it was too. I thought when he left Brienne, I didn't think he was I got to go back to my sister. I thought he was you know what? I got to end this before anybody else gets killed. I thought he was going to try to kill Cersei. I thought he was doing the same thing Arya was. I thought he was trying to kind of get a heads up. He knows he could get close to her. He knows she wouldn't see that coming from him. I thought he was I got to go get rid of it. I got to end this entire war.
Yeah, and then he was get just to her before everything happened.
And then they just hug, and I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we could go on all day, but we got to wrap things up.
My favorite part of Game of Thrones was the picture that surfaced of Bran, Arya, and Sansa all sitting in between takes, and Sansa's vaping, and Bran has no pants on, and Arya's got sunglasses on. I love that. It makes me so happy.
I do love the way, like I said, the Hound was my favorite character. He's been my favorite character since I can remember. And I kind of expected that sort of ending for him. I figured it was going to go down with him and the Mountain both being killed. And even though I feel like that was a little predictable, that to me is the most satisfying thing in the entire show. His storyline and that battle with him and the Mountain, I think is the best thing of the season.
Yeah, it was good. And that was pretty, Hold on. Sorry, Jake. Somebody just commented on your Godzilla clip on YouTube.
We read it out loud?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay.
I think we owe it to the people.
And this will be a good segue to our social media. Without a hint of irony, I say that this is the best of a ridiculously extensive Godzilla memorabilia collection that I can think of.
I love that.
Nice.
Cool. All right, everybody. So speaking of YouTube, make sure that you're heading over to the Yes Have Some YouTube channel for new content. We're going to be putting up some more videos, a couple reaction videos, Terminator trailer reaction video, all sorts of stuff. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/yeshavesomecast.
Yeah.
And of course, Instagram and Twitter at YHS Podcast. And the official website is yhspodcast.com. We do ask, and we haven't plugged this in a while, if you are a subscriber, we want you to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and it would mean the world to us. If you could go to iTunes and leave us a review, we really appreciate it. Helps us out more than you know.
If it's good, we'll read it on the show.
We will. If it's bad, we still might read it because sometimes they're funny. All right. We also have an official Facebook group called Yes Have Some Group Therapy. Abby, tell them about it.
It's so easy. If you're already on our Facebook page, just scroll down and you will see Yes Have Some Group Therapy pop up. Ask to join. And one of the three of us will approve you very quickly. And once you're inside of our group, you can post quality content, stuff that you are collecting, things that you want to collect, old photos of your childhood collection, whatever you want, as long as it's good and related to the podcast. If it's something we talk about, then put it up there. I don't know what we're doing. Sorry. We got some music going?
Jake's video's playing.
Jake's video is now playing. Jake did a great video. Follow us on YouTube. All that stuff, y'all. Just, we're everywhere, and we love you.
Yeah, and we got a lot of fun stuff coming up, including our big trip to Los Angeles and Ghostbusters Fan Fest, where hopefully, on top of everything else, we will maybe be getting some new footage, a new title, poster, something from the new movie. I'm very excited.
I gotta get a new bathing suit. I gotta go shopping.
All that. Jake, Abigail, any final thoughts?
No. Is there?
No.
This has been a long marathon of podcasting.
Long episode.
And I like it.
Cool. All right, everybody. We will see you next time for episode 151. My name is Craig Goldberg, Abigail Gardner, Jacob Walsh. We will be back. Just like Terminator. We'll be back.
The day after Judgment Day.
Boy. All right. Bye, everybody.
The 5th Judgment Day. Bye, y'all.